You could make a wager in Vegas about how many shows Oasis actually does.
Some sort of drama is going to happen.
Welcome to Get to the Hook. I am Charles Latibeaudiere, your co-host.
And I'm Eric Colley, co-host.
I don't know why that sounded very game showy when I came in there. Welcome to Get to the Hook.
All right.
Listen, this week we have, in the news business, we call this an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Because there are very many hooks to get to as far as the music world, and big news this week. As we are recording this just a few hours after Diddy was arrested and has now been indicted on 3 counts, sex trafficking among them. This is going to be a case that so much is going to come out in this trial. He has pled not guilty. He says he's innocent and he's going to fight this. So we are expecting a lot of bombshells to come as this sort of unfolds over the next who knows how long.
It's a little soon to get to that hook just yet.
Yes,
we got to mention
it, but we have to mention it because it's such a huge thing. And by the way, the judge just ordered him held without bail as well. So that means he very likely could be in jail until his trial, until the end of the trial, and
maybe beyond.
Yeah, and maybe beyond, depending on what happens. So that is the latest, but boy, there have been
a lot of
back-to-back days of huge things happening.
Today we found out Miley Cyrus is being sued over flowers by a company that owns part of the publishing of Bruno Mars's When I Was Your Man.
It is such a weird lawsuit to me, only because nobody's ever denied it.
No,
Miley's talked about it, and Bruno Mars didn't have an issue, but this publishing company did.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. It'll be a little bit like the Robin Thicke Blurred Lines trial, I'm thinking, if it goes to that. John Bon Jovi this week, quick mention, saved a woman from committing suicide, possibly.
Such an amazing piece of video. If you haven't seen it, you need to go look this up. But, I mean, just a great moment of humanitarian effort by John Bon Jovi and others who were on the bridge that day in Nashville.
So. Apparently, he's trained in like crisis management for this kind of thing, to know what to do in these situations. And really, he knew what to say, because you see him walk up to a woman in Nashville who's standing on the other side of the rails of a pedestrian bridge, and he and this other woman talk to her, and then he helps her back over the railing and likely saved her life.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Just a great piece of video.
Oh, and also Donald Trump.
Good news.
Donald Trump hates Taylor Swift, but let's not get into that.
And I don't know if that's really news, because that's kind of like dog bites man.
Right.
We expect that.
But the big hook this week we want to get into, something that's been really big up until this Diddy thing, is Jane's addiction. This has been everywhere. The onstage brawl, the half punch heard around the world.
It's so big for so many. It's big for just Jane's addiction and this reunion tour that they were on, which is now
over. The band is likely over.
The band is likely over. I mean, and what a way to go out for a band. Your lead singer getting beat down by security guards. His security guards.
And the bass player who put him in a headlock and punched him in the gut. There's a whole thought to this. Before we get to it, because I think some people actually they know the name Jane's Addiction, but they don't know the songs, because they're not a band they didn't crank out radio hits. That's not what their thing was. Been Caught Stealing was all over MTV back in the early 90s. This is one of their most famous songs, I think. This is Jane Says.
Jane says, I'm done with Sergio. You treat me like a rag doll.
It's a great song. But we won't be hearing that live again, I don't guess.
Just a quick side note. Who is Jane?
I looked this up. It's a real person that Perry Farrell, the front man, knew, and she lived with this guy named Sergio, who was like an abusive boyfriend, maybe like her dealer, and she was like, I think maybe a prostitute. But it's all, imagine the weird people that be around Perry Farrell in the 80s, particularly, or today.
And he just happened to pick Jane to be
he had some
inspiration for the band.
I don't know that they even dated. I don't think so. I think she was just someone he
knew.
Was in his circle and wrote this song about her. But they've canceled the tour. They've maybe broken the band up. Perry's wife, Eddie, after this happened, said that tensions had been building for a while because the volume was too loud.
I don't get this explanation, but yeah, she said that, and if you saw the video, the moment when Perry goes over and attacks Dave Navarro, Dave was playing a solo, Perry was also singing, and he was clearly agitated about something, so that adds up with what his wife is saying. But am I misunderstanding this? it's not Dave Navarro who's controlling the volume, right?
Yeah,
So if
the sound
Perry's
mixer.
monitors are too loud, or if he just thinks that the mix is off, then you take that up with the sound guy,
Yeah.
not Dave Navarro. So there's got to be some other, and then the way the bass player then jumped in, it seems like there were other tensions going on
I
in
think
this band.
that's always been the case with Jane's Addiction. So yes, they are kind of on indefinite hiatus right now. I don't imagine they'll be playing anytime soon. They started issuing the apologies. Perry apologized to the band, especially
Dave didn't
Navarro.
really apologize. Dave, what
No,
did he
he
say?
said that they were taking a break out of concern for Perry's health and safety. It left them no choice but to cancel the shows. So kind of still, they
a little
apologized to the
shade,
fans.
a little shade,
Yeah.
yes. Apology to the fan, but a little shade at Perry.
But they could come back because, of course, Perry Farrell, one of his biggest contributions to music beyond Jane's Addiction is he started Lollapalooza. He founded
That's
that.
right. Yeah,
And at Lollapalooza in '91, was that the first one?
it was in the. I
think
know it was
so.
early.
Yeah,
90s,
I think it might have been the first one or a very early one. Jane's Addiction was playing, and history repeats itself. Perry Farrell and Dave Navarro got into a fist fight on stage. They walked off. Dave Navarro threw his guitar into the audience, and then they broke up after that. After they finished that tour.
So this all felt like the scene in Boston just felt like deja vu to them.
Yeah. So they broke up then in '91, and then remember Perry Farrell started Porno for Pyros, did the song Pets. Dave Navarro joined the Red Hot Chili Peppers for their album One Hot Minute, which is how long he was in the band.
Right.
And then Jane's Addiction got back together in 2001, broke up again in 2003, got back together in 2008. Some of the members quit in 2010. Different versions of the group have existed off and on since then.
So
Now,
basically, they'll be back in like 5 or 6 years.
probably.
Right.
Although, TikTok, we're all getting older.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Wow,
Yeah.
what a way to go out, though. I mean, it is a very rock and roll way to end your band.
it is to end on stage. And if you're in the audience, especially if a show gets cut short, it's kind of annoying in the moment. But if you are a fan of that group, if they really do break up, you were at the last show.
Yeah, and you got to see it all play out.
Yeah.
And as you tell all your friends, I was actually in the front row. I saw it all happening, man. I got hit by Perry Farrell's sweat as they were beating him down.
As he's taking a swing at Dave Navarro's guitar.
Yeah.
Some other bands we'll talk about quickly who broke up on stage. Some, oddly, we've talked about this a lot lately. When we did the episode on Brothers, the Everly Brothers broke up on stage. One of them walked off and smashed his guitar. Kings of Leon broke up for a hot second after a fight on stage. Oasis, The Kinks, all these bands. One that is on tape, and we can see it and hear it. And this lineup never got back together because within a year of the breakup, one of them was dead. The Sex Pistols, which was, the Sex Pistols were troubled from the first split second they were even remotely a band. They had their last show in January of 1978 at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. And at the encore, they came out and they did a cover of the Stooges song No Fun. And you can listen to this because it's all recorded. And the way that Johnny Rotten is delivering No Fun, at a point, he's just talking because he's so over it. They all hate each other. This was the last song of the last performance they ever did. And of course, by February of '79, Sid Vicious was dead. But listen to the way Johnny Rotten just started saying, "This is no fun. This is no fun at all." Check it out.
No fun. This is no fun. No fun. It is no fun at all. No fun.
He hated
He's
it.
definitely making the point.
Yes, this is no fun. And the last thing he said as the song ended was, "You ever get the feeling you've been cheated? Good night." And that was it. The
I'd
original
never
lineup
seen that
never
clip.
played.
I'd read about it, but I'd never
Yeah.
seen the clip. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to go out. And by the way, the other thing that I thought, you mentioned Oasis and their past troubles, but when I saw what happened with Jane's Addiction, all I thought was, this is just going to happen again at the first Oasis show.
I can't imagine there's any way they get through this without, even if it doesn't come to physical blows, some sort of petty shade, some sort of drama is going to happen.
I would wager, if I had a gambling problem,
Okay.
that there are,
But you don't.
that you could make a wager in Vegas about how many shows Oasis actually does when this tour starts. Thank God it's just a mini tour.
Oh, there's so many wagers you could make. One, do they finish the tour?
Right.
Two, how many shows do they make? Do they come to blows on stage? Which song will it happen during? is the 9 millionth time they do Wonderwall just the breaking point?
Yeah.
Or
that would be tremendous.
I don't know. Another band that not only broke up on stage in front of an audience, like fell apart, did it on live television for everybody to see. Let's go back to the 1991 MTV Video Music Awards when Poison imploded in front of everybody. CeCe DeVille, the guitar player, was clearly inebriated, maybe high, maybe a combination. He had a lot of substance abuse issues. They were trying to perform Unskinny Bop, which was their fairly recent single at that point. They started performing before the show came back from commercial break. So when the show comes back, they're already kind of playing it.
Right.
And then they just sort of
Was
stop.
that planned that they were supposed to be? No?
No.
Oh,
so
okay.
they're trying to do it, so they just kind of stop. And Arsenio was the host that night. And Arsenio tries to reintroduce. He's like, oh, Poison. So then there's like, oh, crap, what do we do? We're like live on TV. And CeCe DeVille says this was just miscommunication. That Bret Michaels, the lead singer, asked the crowd just to try and stall for a second. Like, oh, are you ready to talk dirty to me? Which was their first big hit.
Sure.
So CeCe thought, oh, he wants to play that song. So he starts playing it. And then the rest of the band's like, okay, we're going to jump in and do this.
So they start-
CeCe was his guitar playing was very bad. And he's a great guitar player, but he was not in good shape that night. At one point, he unplugs the guitar and it just drops out completely. The rest of the band try to keep going. At the end, Bret Michaels is like, it's not perfect, but it's rock and roll. And then he and CeCe come to blows backstage. They managed to hold it together on stage. Then they get in a fist fight backstage. CeCe's kicked out of the band. They didn't get back together for like 5 years with CeCe. And I think there's still probably some tensions come and go with them.
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of the Eagles fight backstage also. The Eagles had a fight backstage.
Whereas
in Long Beach.
Glenn Frey and Don Felder were taunting each other and threatening each other on stage. And then
this backstage is, all right,
came to
let's
blows.
do this. Yeah.
Yeah, they were squaring up.
Rock and roll.
Speaking of the VMAs, this year's VMAs just recently happened. Did you watch any of it?
I did not see much of it. Saw a couple of highlights, but
There were some good things. Sabrina Carpenter made out with an alien.
I saw that clip. I don't know how that happened to come across my feed, but it did.
Because you have a Google alert set for kissing aliens. It's a really weird fetish. And I don't know why
it's
you're
kissing
into that.
aliens. It's not Sabrina Carpenter.
No, it's kissing aliens. Chapel Roan was like Joan of Arc in medieval garb, firing flaming arrows.
Very bizarre.
Very bizarre. Benson Boone, I don't know if you saw his performance, the guy who sings Beautiful Things.
Yeah.
He came out playing piano, and then he climbed up on a riser on stage and did this giant leap front kick flip, landed, and hit the note when he landed. And he was singing live. And then later in the performance, climbs up on the piano and jumps up and does a backflip, like a very dramatic backflip.
Like no cables or anything?
No cables. And this isn't just like standing and doing a backflip, which is impressive enough.
Yeah.
He leaps up and like kicks his leg and flips his whole body backwards and lands backwards, jumps up and spins around, and then continues with the song singing live. I was very impressed.
Does he have an Olympic gymnast background that I don't know about?
It was some parkour action. It was pretty great. A lot of legends were there. Katy Perry got the Vanguard Award.
Yep, saw that.
Whether you love her or hate her, her videos are pretty iconic and memorable. Eminem came out wearing his old Slim Shady hair as a wig. LL Cool J did a great show.
Did they perform Murdergram? LL and Eminem?
No, they weren't together. They were separate. Yeah, but LL did bring out Public Enemy.
All right.
Pretty cool. But I wanted to bring up one. This is just my sneaky way of talking about an artist that I think you and I both love that I don't think we've ever talked about on this show.
Ooh, okay. Well, this is...
Mr. Leonard Kravitz.
Yes, okay.
Love Lenny. He did a show, and it's so weird when you see Lenny on the VMAs. He comes up, still doing his old 70s rock star stuff, even though he was never a 70s rock star. He was too young for
always
But that's his
presented
vibe.
that way.
Like Led Zeppelin. He rises up from the stage, backlit in a cloud of smoke, with like a feather boa cape thing and tight pants and high heel boots. But he looks like he's just been frozen since 1992.
Yeah, it is really sickening.
Does not age the tiniest bit. He did Are You Gonna Go My Way, his new song Human, and a song, have you heard the song he has with Quavo?
No.
I love Quavo has just put out a song recently with Lana Del Rey, and now he's doing a song with Lenny Kravitz.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sample of one of Lenny's most famous songs.
Oh,
but
so they
also
did a little...
Lenny's playing it live and it appears on the song. Like he sings new vocals. So it's a sample and a duet, and it's a new song. This is Lindy and Quo doing their song Fly. So it's Quavo rapping over Lenny's Fly Away, but then Lenny's, and it's a sample, but also Lenny's live.
Lenny did it live, so...
But on the song, he recorded new parts, and then they performed it live at the VMAs, which was really cool.
Wow.
I love Lenny Kravitz. I don't know, I don't think he gets the respect he deserves.
He definitely does not get the respect. And there have been moments in his career where I just think like this guy is, like you said, is just getting short shrifted for some reason. Yeah. And then there are other times I listen to it and I just go like, it's not that inspired. Like
no, he wears his influences not even on his sleeve.
And I guess that's what it is. Like he's very
So, I mean, kind of so did Led Zeppelin. How many blues
But
acts
he's a
did
great
they-
performer, and that's the thing that I've always loved about Lenny is that
And to
when,
endure and have songs that people know.
That-
And
when you see him perform live, like he brings it.
Yeah.
And it's that's what I've always appreciated about him. So
I remember when he first came out, and I'm like, who is this hippie that's married to Denise Huxtable?
yeah,
Because, Lisa Bonet was still
Right,
on the
she
Cosby
was-
Show at that time.
exactly. She was the big star.
Yeah, it's like you sound like Led Zeppelin, you look like Prince, you got kind of a 60s, 70s thing in the late 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
before that wasn't really in vogue at that time. But he's always done that. That's just who he is.
I
love that.
The last time I saw Lenny live was at the Hall of Fame induction. What year was that? 2017. When Journey got inducted.
Mhm.
But he performed a tribute to Prince.
Yeah, he did
Yeah,
When Doves Cry at
and
that. And
did When Doves Cry, and he did The Cross.
yeah,
A deep cut for Prince fans.
Yeah.
And it was tremendous. He had like a choir out there with him, and it was amazing.
I-
And you always know that he and Prince were tight, so that
they worked
meant
together a lot.
Yeah.
There's a Prince song that Lenny did backing vocals on in the 90s. I don't know if you know a Prince song called Dolphin on the Gold Experience.
Mm-mm.
Lenny's doing backing vocals on that track.
Wow.
Not credited because he just showed up and, put some vocals down. So, no, I love Lenny. And like you said, yeah, he is, the sum of all of his parts. You can see all the influences. When he does different
And he
genres,
doesn't hide it.
sometimes it's like, oh, you're doing sort of a Curtis Mayfield thing, right now, or a Sam
And that was,
Cooke thing.
and
or-
you know what? The problem is that was the knock on him, like when he first came out. Like everyone
Right.
said he was doing,
it was unoriginal.
yes, it was totally unoriginal. And so that's kind of stuck with him. Whatever he does, people go like, oh, they're pointing at the influences. Whereas,
But he's
by the
done
way,
it so long and so well, now it's just him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's Lenny Kravitz. That sounds like a Lenny Kravitz song.
this is going to be weird, but I'm going to say that, is Lenny Kravitz the Black Billy Joel?
No, I think
Or is
Billy
Billy
Joel gets
Joel
more respect.
Yes, he does, but he's done the same thing. Like Billy Joel,
Yeah.
also his influences are very clear, and what he's almost imitating things.
Yeah.
And he's very open about it, but nobody seems to knock him for it.
Well, that's
Justice for Lenny.
Justice for Lenny Kravitz. I think he should be in the Rock Hall of Fame. But again, I always say my thing is, yes, there's influence, and there's impact, and there's originality, and those things are important. But there's also longevity to me. That you can still tour, still fill up an arena. People know these songs and love them. There's something to that.
As for the Rock Hall of Fame, my feeling is if you have the longevity that like Lenny does, eventually you get in. Everybody's going to get in. If
He
you
started to
actually,
be nominated now. That he's making the short list. He doesn't get in, but he gets nominated.
He'll get
in.
He'll
Also,
get in.
personally, everybody likes him. All the
Yes.
people who vote love Lenny Kravitz.
Right.
Because he's the nicest person in the world, apparently.
I wouldn't know,
Yeah.
but I'll take your word for it.
It's from what I've heard. I've never met the man, but he'd probably be nice if we met him, though.
Yes,
Speak-
maybe he wants to come on and get
Yeah.
to the hook.
Open invitation. You know what? We'll see if we
Lenny?
can work it in, Lenny, if you want to. But,
Come on.
speaking of the Rock Hall of Fame, though, we got to end with somebody who died this week,
Oh yeah.
who is a Rock Hall of Famer, and I think doesn't, kind of like Lenny, I don't think he got really the respect and recognition he deserved.
Definitely did not get it. We're talking about Tito Jackson, who died. His former manager says that it apparently was a heart attack at the age of 70. And you're right, does not get the respect. And if people want to give Joe Jackson the credit for being sort of the founder or the creator of the Jackson 5,
Well, literally, he was the creator of the Jackson 5.
well,
He
yes,
was their
he
father.
was literally.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know that Tito, I guess, would be like the godfather because he's the one who really kind of kicked off the musical thing for himself and his brothers.
It was. Tito played guitar and did not play guitar on the early Jackson 5 singles because he wasn't allowed to. He wanted to. Motown was
Right. We've got
an
it's a
assembly
factory.
line. We've got session
And
musicians.
we got people who do that.
Yeah, we'll
right,
crank the
and
music
do it
up.
very well, by the way.
Yes. But he was playing guitar when he was about 10 years old in the early 60s and was playing Joe's guitar because Joe is a musician. And without permission, which
Dared to pick up Joe's guitar without permission.
that sounds terrifying,
Yeah.
honestly. And he broke a string. And
See, this man is a hero.
yeah,
This man is a hero.
yeah. So he broke the string. Joe finds out and he's like, why are you playing with my guitar? And he's like, well, I play guitar. And Joe said, well, show me. And Tito was good. So Joe convinced Tito, Jackie, and Jermaine they should start a group. And, when Joe Jackson convinces, I don't know
Right.
exactly how he convinced them, but,
Here's the thing, boys. You're coming in here, you're going to sing.
yes, sir. They were called the Jackson Brothers. And then the next year in 64, their two younger brothers, Marlon and Michael, who was only like 5 or 6 at that point,
Right.
joined because Catherine, their mother, found out, oh, these two can sing. The little one can sing. Boy, could he. Then they became the Jackson 5, and 5 years later, 4 number 1 hits just in 1970.
Just like that. And on later Jackson songs, Tito did get to play guitar.
He did, and that's why. So out of all the great Jackson 5 Jackson's songs to play, I'm going to play one. It wasn't even a single. It's an album cut from Triumph in 1980. This is after they had left Motown, and that's why they had to change their name, because Berry Gordy owned the name Jackson 5. They became the Jacksons. Tito co-wrote this song. He co-wrote a couple of the songs. None of the big hits, but this could have been a hit. This is a song called Everybody.
Oh, yeah. That definitely could. What year was that?
1980. That's the same album with Can You Feel It?
Oh, yeah.
And Heartbreak Hotel, which got changed to This Place Hotel, which is a stupid name. I hate that name. I guess that was a legal thing with...
Yes, with Elvis, maybe?
But how do you copyright a song's name?
That's weird. Because there was a Heartbreak Hotel later that Whitney Houston did, so...
Yeah. I don't know what the deal is with that song.
Maybe it was a marketing thing. I don't know.
I don't know. But it's on that album. Tito and then his sons started the group 3T in the 90s. They were on Michael's MJJ label, had a song called Anything, was a top 20 hit. Tito doesn't get the credit.
He doesn't. And, we spoke to him on TMZ Live. I want to say it was last year. It might have been the year before. And he had an album, a solo record that he put out. And it was him playing a lot of like blues guitar, which is what he loved to do. And he was so excited about going out on the road and doing some shows and getting to play that. And it just felt happy for him. That
he'd waited 50 years for that. Imagine you want to be a blues player and you're doing...
Yeah, and he never said that he was complaining about that stuff.
No, those are great songs.
Yeah, but it was just felt really happy for him, and sad that that he met his ending at 70 years old.
Awfully young. I mean, Catherine's 94. She's still alive.
Right. I know.
2 of her sons are gone now.
Do you remember when it used to be if you said someone was 70, you're like, boy, man, I can't believe they made it to 70.
I can't believe they were still alive.
Now someone goes at 70, you're like, so young.
So young. So much life left to live, really.
That speaks to our age, I think.
Yeah.
But yes, R.I.P. to Tito Jackson. Obviously will be missed. So.
Yeah. So that's our headlines wrap up.
That's it.
A lot to cover.
A lot of hooks this week. But we will be back next week because there will definitely be more.
Oh, something maybe we'll do next week. I meant to mention this to you. Have you heard about, and I was going to talk about this with Poison, and I don't want to get too in-depth with them, Paramount Plus. Mm-hmm. You've seen the docuseries that's coming out this week. It is called Nothing But a Good Time, the uncensored story of 80s hair metal.
Oh, boy.
And it is all these guys talking about what it was like in the 80s, being in these bands.
I hope they're going to be really honest, because those are some awesome stories.
From the trailer, it looks like they are. And I was like, oh, you know what? We have not done a hair metal episode. I have wanted to, because people hate it, and you and I both like it.
Yes, indeed.
So maybe that next week.
All right. Well, tune in, and we will we'll have something for you. I hope it's that, because that sounds tremendous.
Sounds pretty great.
All right, thanks. We'll see you next time.